This morning we challenged the high from Friday, the jobs number day. You can see that there's a few wicks there actually on the 30-minute, kept on wicking up, up, up. Finally, the fourth time, had a pretty hard down tick, which began the down move into this kind of the support area from the prior day. This morning, looks like there's a little bit of action, back up above 229, now we're back down. Everything is compressed in terms of volatility, so even a 0.5% move into this area here is a big move these days. So you look to flip back to the long side. And below that, it's I guess 228 where the up move started from on Friday. IWM. It's a little bit more wild in terms of the price action. It started to make a series of higher lows here. This channel's broken now. Okay, if the market catches a bid this morning, I'll check in with it here around 135.80, 135.75. After this down move yesterday, that's where it consolidated. This is a little interesting spot here against 136 potential short. $134.5 was the support last Thursday, and that also was that was a support level that was tested a bunch of times over the course of a few months. So this is a little bit of an interesting trade right here. All right, Disney. So Disney, I watched a little bit after they reported. As usual, the ESPN numbers were weak. I threw in a bid. I think it got down to the 106 and something area. I was very conservative about it. I threw in a bid down here. It's really right in this area here. Never got down there. The reason I was conservative about it was because of this run. I mean, it's just had a big run. It was a $92 stock. They ran it up to 112, $20, over 20%. And this morning, it's 109.5, 110. So after the initial reaction, I guess they were bidding for it here in the 106.60s. They pushed it to 109. This morning, 10 minutes above 109. That's pretty good. Although right now it's started to tick down a little bit. It's done 165,000 shares. What did I put on the sheet here? 110 is the. So for our purposes, we'll use 110 if it catches a quick bid on the open to see what happens here. You know it's strong if it's after 10 o'clock. It's still above 110 or right in that area. Would be very reasonable, considering the big run it's had over the last couple months, to try to at least push it down to here. I put 107.50 to 108. Gets a failure up here on the open, pushes it to 108 and flushes it all through. Just give me 1 second. I bought a little bit of this P, at a $31 secondary. All right, so that's my thought on Disney there. if it pushes, this is be the area where they're looking to bid, see if it catches a bid. If it doesn't catch a bid there, then you have the after hours spot where it went to 106.70. Next one is Twitter, who reports, I think they report after the close. Somebody gave them an upgrade. They finally mentioned, hey, this whole Trump thing is helping them, which I think that's been pretty apparent. But basically, if you step back and you look at it on the daily, it's been a buy in the 16 to 17 area now for a while. So we caught the bottom of it when it bottomed over a year ago. Or I guess it was just a year ago in the 14, and the after hours bought it at 13. But then it held 14 for the next few months. It was long term for this move into 20 and even above. They couldn't sell themselves, came back down, and then has basically tested the 16.5 area a bunch of times. Every time it comes down into this lower part of the consolidation, people are like, oh my God, Twitter, it's awful. Blah. And every time it bounces, it fails in the 19 area. So it was almost 19 in the pre-market today. I think everyone knows that there's a good chance it fails right here. So here they put themselves up for sale. Looked like maybe they get a sale. No deal. Went to 20. Then it gapped down. And then it ran up to here to 1930. Failed. Made a bit of a higher low. Looked like maybe it would work its way back up to 20, but failed again in the mid-19s. Held that 16.5 for about a week. Then held it again, and now we're right back up at 19. So a little bit of a dip right on the open. You could buy it. It was almost, so I guess the way I look at it is right on the open flushes a little bit, maybe to the mid-18s. See if some people buy it there. They pop it up to 80 cents to $1. It normally trades 15 million shares a day, so it's going to be very liquid. I haven't done anything with options yet, but if I do make an options trade, I will let you know going into earnings. And I'll also take a look at Guild for you. Guild is a market leader on the biotechnology side. So I saw one number that came out after hours yesterday that didn't look good on Guild. D-Signal's having trouble populating. There we go. So first of all, let's take a look at the daily on Guild. And this is certainly, this is kind of a different sector, but equivalent to Disney in terms of market leader for their sector, very liquid. We looked for it to bounce a couple of times and put in bottoms. Put in its top at 120. I really thought when it came back down to $80 that it could work some sort of base in this area here and then eventually break back out. But now you can see the consolidated, and it's actually breaking down again. So the biotech run from 213 to 215. It did go it tripled basically. So here's your triple. It's now looking like they're going to split the difference. It's going to come back down into here. From a longer term perspective, I would think being long into $60 would be really good over the next few years. That's my longer term spiel. Now it's practically flat again. So I'm kind of expecting this thing to rip. Initial reaction took it to 70. This very bearish price action. So now you have leaked down to 69 in the after hours. It's below there and it's just trending. So sellers are in complete control. Here's a zoomed in on the pre-market. It's already done 1.5 million shares. Hard to say where it's going to bottom. It hasn't been this low in years. I would expect once it bottoms, though, it does move up $1.50, $2 off of that low. So it'll be a good. I don't think it's getting down to 62, 63 today. So we look to trade a range, just like we do in most stocks. First thing, though, for the open, though, is if it spikes up to this area here, is to look for some sort of failure above 68.5, like 68.70 to 68. Excuse me, yeah, 68.70 to 69.
I'm sure like
It flushes down another dollar or so from here. We start to look for at the bottom below 67. Into,
so the stock currently doesn't have
I haven't traded into in a long time.
any like selling. That's about it. So they're gonna have to figure out a way to pump this. So I don't think this is necessarily like in play for today. But what I do is basically
So it had this nasty gap down,
so any like
which was, oh, that was the crash, 2015.
if I can get in early enough,
Consolidation at the high,
otherwise
but then
watch it.
I don't know what the numbers are. I didn't look at the numbers. Oh, they cut guidance. Let's see here.
You know, crush it.
Yeah, that's a pretty large cut. So we're looking at 36. They cut guidance by 30% on the EPS side.
This can squeeze pretty viciously if they get a hold of it. So that's it.
They're still making a ton of money, but for whatever reason, this one quarter is weak. The problem, though, is a lot of people were buying it up here in this 116 to 120 area, even like 114. So that's a problem. Let's look at the 30-minute. So the initial gap down was kind of in the support area. No volume, normally does 900,000. We're probably looking at, we could be looking at 4 to 5 million shares today. So, kind of same thing yesterday as Sabre. If you get the spike right on the open to this area right here, look for sellers. But again, really bad guidance for the quarter. So that's what makes it a little bit tricky, is the cut for the quarter, but why they reiterated for the year. But still, a lot of people long it from the one above 114. Twilio. So Twilio, I just put it on here because it was one of the stronger IPOs last year. After they ran it up to 70, came back down to 30. It's tried the bottom a few times. We actually, I think, the first time it came down to low 30s, we caught that move up to back to 35, 36. The numbers were good, guidance was good. It's been one of those things, though. It's a better company than like Fitbit, but the price action is a little bit similar to Fitbit when it IPO'd in terms of it kept on giving good guidance, good quarters, and then eventually it kept on going lower and lower, and then finally they started giving bad guidance and bad quarters. So I don't think it's not analogous in the sense that I do think longer term Twilio does well. It's just that it got ahead of itself right after the IPO. But it's gonna bottom somewhere in here in this 30 area, maybe a little bit lower, and eventually probably work its way back into $40 or something. So we continue to watch it. Ahead of the earnings, you can see it was actually in the high 20s. It failed above 30 here, and then into earnings ran it up to 32 and a half. So I would continue to watch to see this area right here. Certainly if they flushed on the open to below 31, I would buy it. But understand that Twilio is always a little bit nasty. The next one is MYGN. And so this one was kind of interesting. The numbers were not particularly good. They had a very small beat. They guided in line, but it was gapping up a lot. And so in those scenarios, the first thing I say is, oh, it's gapping up. The numbers aren't that good. It's probably a short. But you look at the longer term and you say, okay, the thing is $45 a share. It's come off 65%. If they think this is a quarter where it's finally bottomed, that's why you could have this large gap up on just a slight beat guide in line. And if they think the longer term bottoms in, maybe the stock does work its way back up to, here. So I put on the sheet 17.5 to 18 resistance. Above that is 20. If the thesis is that they've put in a longer term bottom now, you would probably look for a little bit of a pullback on the open, maybe into this area down right here. And then watch to see if it runs back up to the 18 and change, and you get a close above here. You play it over the next few days for a move back up to 20. First move is down to here, and then it fails in the 1740, 1750 area, and takes out that 17. So much for that thesis. AMD, that had ran up 30% over the last few days. Traded on the short side below 14. We talked about this in the review after the close. Looked for the long into this consolidation, which didn't work. Basically got stopped here, then tried it again into this. This did actually work here. I know the prior day's middle of the level consolidation, middle of the day consolidation. It did though fail at 1350. So after hours, they walked it back up to 1350. Now it's back down to 1320. So we have this range now, 1340 to 1350 resistance, 1310, 13 support. And then cores, which we traded on the short on the open yesterday for a move to 35 for a flip back to the long side against longer term support. That one worked beautifully. It's another one we kind of talked about in the review yesterday. You got the flush below 35, and then they immediately pop back up. The higher lows, the higher lows, the close at the high. So, looking at it today, comes back into the 36.15 to 36 area. I'd look for along there. 37, potentially resistance, so I'd want to be a little bit careful about being long it up here, unless it's started to hold in this area and then broke to the upside. All right, I'm going to call it a wrap. Be patient and good luck. Oh, somebody asked when I bought it. So yeah, cores, you can see my positions in real time. So when I got long, I think it showed that. I think I started buying it at 35.21 or so, and then bought a little bit closer to 35. Be patient and good luck.
Hope you enjoyed that video. You can actually watch that video if you're subscribed to our Trader 90 before the market even opens. What stocks are in play? What levels in those stocks are important, and how we might go about attacking that stock. That's Steve Spencer, 20-year veteran trader, laying it out there every morning before the market even opens. A really, really powerful tool to start your session off on the right foot. So right now we're offering a trial that you can take advantage of to access this meeting and other meetings throughout the day. We have a meeting at 11 a.m. Eastern where you can sit down with Mike Bellafiore and listen to him talk about what's going on during the morning session, what stocks were in play, what the best trade opportunities were, as well as maybe some things that we're looking at heading into the afternoon session. So I really encourage you to take advantage of that trial.